Renault has completely reworked its F1 engine ahead of the 2022 season, including the adoption of the split turbo solution pioneered by Mercedes all the way back in 2014. And according to Alpine, the new solution is effective. The French team has stated that it's been encouraged by the performance of Renault's new Formula 1 power unit, despite the fact that it's yet to be tested in top mode. So what kind of progress has Alpine made, and is this a sign of things to come? Stay tuned as we find out. Welcome to F1 Tech, where we explore the inner workings of one of the most intensely exciting, death-defying sports in the world. Join us as we deep dive into the drivers, teams, and cars of Formula 1. If you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. Now, let's get started. As previously stated, Mercedes was the first to introduce the split turbo design in 2014. So how does the technology work? Let's go back to that year, shall we? Formula 1 abandoned V8 engines in 2014, instead mandating that all teams race with turbocharged V6 engines, 1.6 litres in displacement, outfitted with advanced energy recovery systems. The goal was to return Formula 1 to some semblance of relevance to modern road car technologies, with a strong emphasis on efficiency. This was accomplished by requiring maximum fuel consumption for races and putting a strong emphasis on hybrid technology. Mercedes, as we all know, has dominated the field in what's now known as the turbo hybrid era. Much has been made of the team's engine, which is widely regarded as being more powerful and efficient than the competition in all but a select few races over the last 7 years, with much of the credit going to the split turbo system we mentioned. In a conventional turbocharger, the compressor wheel and turbine wheel are connected by a short shaft, with the respective housings mounted directly back to back. Mercedes, on the other hand, realised that there were numerous advantages to be had by splitting the two halves further apart. Instead, the compressor was placed in front of the engine and the turbine was placed in the back. The two were linked by a much longer shaft that passed through the engine's V. This allowed the MGU-H to be installed in the V's centre, between the compressor and the turbine. The design offered a slew of advantages. Because the turbine was separated from the compressor, heat from the exhaust gases didn't bleed into the compressor as much, lowering intake temperatures and allowing the team to fit a smaller intercooler. Because of the packaging advantages, the team was able to make the entire engine or power unit more compact, giving the chassis designers more freedom to make aerodynamic changes to the car. It also allowed for cleaner, much straightforward exhaust pipe routing, which improves power output, and shorter intake piping, which improves drivability by reducing lag. This is a design that Alpine imitated in order to bring the Renault engine up to par with the competition, which they have struggled with in the turbo hybrid era. While the final verdict of the new engine's potential against the benchmark Mercedes and Honda units will not be known until qualifying in Bahrain, initial impressions from the Barcelona test were positive. Alpine sporting director Alain Permain stated that the team has begun experimenting with various engine modes, and the fact that the power unit performed as expected without incident was a good sign. We haven't been running that on full power. I don't think we've done a lap on what they call single ICE mode, which is the qualifying and the race mode. We've come close to it, but not full whack. Honestly, we haven't spoken about the power unit, and that's a great thing. It's so different. It's completely different to anything that Viri have produced before. It's more complex, it certainly looks a lot nicer and neater, but it just goes in the car, and we've just gone with it, which is great. The drivers had the normal comments about the little bit of drivability here, a bit of surge here, and a bit of lag there. But the guys have just gone on top of that and played with the settings and mappings and stuff, and it's gone away. The move to a more sustainable fuel in F1 this year, with engines required to use petrol containing 10% ethanol, makes comparing power from last year difficult. Permain, on the other hand, believes that the fact that the drivers have not singled out the engine as a source of concern is encouraging for the team. The engine hasn't been a talking point really, which is great. I think it's very difficult for them to talk about power compared to last year because of the fuel differences and the big power differences. But they're certainly not complaining about it at all. We're very happy about it. Alpine set 264 laps over 3 days in Barcelona, placing them 8th in the mileage standings, trailed only by Alfa Romeo and Haas. but only added 12 on the final day of racing as Alonso ground to a halt. The team later stated that the fire that halted their running on the final day was caused by a minor sealing issue in the hydraulics. Nonetheless, Alonso was complimentary of the team's all-new Renault power unit for 2022. Well, obviously, we believe that we have a step forward on the engine, on power, but also on everything, you know? I think the engine has been updated in many different areas, so let's see if we can be a little bit more competitive on that side. And we must keep the reliability that we had last year. It was one of the strongest points of the car, finishing all the races and having no issues at all. So yes, you need to combine those two things, the performance and finishing the races. The Spaniard also stated that he's looking forward to the official pre-season test in Bahrain, which will take place on March 10th to 12th to see if Alpine has the grunt to keep up with the front runners. Until we go to Bahrain, we don't know even what the others did as well on the engine side, and how much progress everyone did this winter. There's new fuel, so we all lost performance with the new fuel, and we'll try to recover that. So let's see in Bahrain. Teammate Esteban Ocon missed out on Friday afternoon running due to the stoppage, and only had Thursday in the car, completing a very productive 125 laps. The A522's potential left him feeling encouraged. Thursday was my first proper day in the A522, and it's certainly a great feeling to be back in a Formula 1 car and doing lots of laps. It was good to start to get a feeling for the car on proper tyres in accurate testing conditions. The most important target for us today, like Wednesday too, was to do lots of running, so to do over 100 laps is encouraging. We tested a lot of different things, and we've given ourselves a couple of ideas to work on. We definitely have a direction on the particular areas to improve, which is the main objective at pre-season testing. It's a positive start, and I'm looking forward to discovering more. The adoption of the new power unit design is driven by a single goal: performance. Alpine must increase its power figures if it's to compete at the front of the grid in the coming years, according to CEO Laurent Rossi, who's urged his engine staff not to play it safe and focus solely on reliability. Instead, he's told them to keep pushing for performance gains, believing that it will be easier to cure a fast but fragile power unit under F1's new engine freeze rules than to make up any lap time deficit. It's either reliability or performance, as you usually have a hard time having both. So it's just, where do you push the envelope? During the year in development, we experienced a couple of moments where the reliability was not there. But that's our choice, because the only lever we're going to have at our disposal this year is reliability. So I told the team, you push the envelope far, and I don't care. I'd rather have to dial down on the performance, but know that I've reached the peak of the performance I can get, than be reliable and just be comfortable with a reliable engine that's not delivering performance. This, by the way, was the approach of the past, so we pushed in the other direction. And the good news is we've been doing thousands of kilometers with this new PU in the past few weeks. Rossi has also confirmed that Renault has opted for a split turbo for 2022, with other changes set to significantly improve the Alpine package. The engine has been redesigned entirely. When I say brand new, it is even in the concept. Firstly, that is a split turbo, but that's only one of the visible elements that will make it more compact, enable us to move it closer to the driver, and therefore change the center of gravity of the car. It's lighter, and it's capable of operating in a much wider range of conditions, temperature and pressure, so it's really like a game changer for us. And I hope it'll enable us to catch up and close the gap to the front. The encouraging engine torque comes at an opportune time as Alpine seeks to move closer to the front of the pack. The amount of running they did during pre-season testing was, to put it mildly, inadequate. However, the team and drivers appear to be optimistic about the car's potential, so it will be interesting to see what they gain in Q3 at the Bahrain Grand Prix, assuming they make it there. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and don't forget to click the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. What are your thoughts on Alpine's chances? Will they get better or worse this year? What effect do you think the new design will have on the car? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll see you later on F1 Tech.